Have you ever met someone who doesn't play by the rules society tries to enforce? Have you noticed how certain women move so quietly, yet shake the very ground people thought was stable? Could it be that their refusal to conform is their greatest source of power? Welcome to Time-Tested Advice, where ancient philosophy meets the modern world. I'm your host, Alfred. Let's get started. What happens when you meet someone who does not play by the script the world hands them? The Sigma female is exactly that. She is the quiet storm no one sees coming, and the rare presence that disrupts the predictable patterns people expect from others. She does not need to make noise to be noticed. Her influence comes from an unshakable sense of who she is, and a refusal to let anyone define her limits. People try to read her, but she is not a book written for public consumption. She gives pieces of herself selectively, enough for you to think you understand, but never enough for you to truly map her. This is why control over her is impossible. She does not fear being misunderstood, nor does she need to prove herself in every room she enters. Her strength lies in her independence of thought and her ability to step away from anything that threatens her peace or values. She moves differently because she sees differently. While others get tangled in the need for approval, she observes, calculates, and chooses her next move with precision. She can be warm without being dependent, connected without being owned. Her boundaries are not walls of insecurity, but gates of discernment, and not everyone gets in. If you are a Sigma female, understand this truth. The very qualities that make you hard to control are the ones that make you exceptional. Never dilute them. The world will try to put you in a box, but you were not made to fit in one. Let's dive into it and explore these rare personalities. Number 1, she disrupts patterns people think are universal, leaving them scrambling to understand why the usual rules do not apply. Most people live by invisible rules. They may not write them down, but they believe these rules apply to everyone. Rules about how to behave, when to speak up, what to agree with, and even what dreams to pursue. These rules become so ingrained that anyone who breaks them is immediately seen as strange, difficult, or a problem. This is exactly where the Sigma female unsettles people. She does not intentionally set out to be different. She simply refuses to live in a script that does not make sense to her. Imagine a workplace where everyone knows the unwritten rule. Keep quiet when the boss is wrong, because speaking up could be risky. Most people follow that without thinking twice. The Sigma female will calmly present the truth anyway, not to rebel, but because she values honesty over comfort. The moment she does this, people start to realize the rule they thought was unshakable is actually a choice. That small act breaks the illusion. It is the same in relationships. Many people believe you must constantly agree or bend to avoid conflict. The Sigma female does not play along. She can be loving and loyal, but she will not pretend something is fine when it is not. If a boundary is crossed, she addresses it directly, and that throws people off balance. This disruption is not loud or dramatic. It is often quiet, even gentle, but it is powerful because it forces others to question what they thought was fixed. Once you see that a universal rule can be ignored without the world collapsing, it changes how you think forever. For those who encounter her, the experience can be unsettling. It is like suddenly realizing the walls around you were never locked. For the Sigma female, this is just everyday life. She does not live by rules that were created to keep people in line. She creates her own map, and in doing so, she reminds everyone else that they can too. Number 2, she thrives in psychological ambiguity, operating in spaces most people find uncomfortable or unsafe. Most people crave clarity. They want situations to be black or white, right or wrong, safe or unsafe. This need for certainty makes them predictable. When the lines blur and outcomes are unclear, many freeze, back away, or cling to someone else for direction. The Sigma female moves in the opposite way. She does not panic when the picture is incomplete. She is comfortable in the middle of uncertainty, and that is where her strength quietly grows. Think of a workplace where a major change is announced, but no one knows exactly what it means. Colleagues start whispering, rumors fly, and anxiety fills the air. Many either make rushed decisions or sit in fear, waiting for instructions. The Sigma female studies the situation without letting fear make her choices. She listens, observes, and asks the right questions, not to soothe her anxiety, but to understand the deeper reality. This allows her to navigate the situation while others are still guessing or picture a relationship where the future feels uncertain. Most people either push for quick promises or pull away entirely. The Sigma female can sit with the unknown. She does not need to force the other person into giving answers they are not ready to give. Instead, she watches actions more than words, giving the truth space to reveal itself. Operating in this psychological gray zone makes her unpredictable to those who rely on fear to control others. You cannot corner someone who is not afraid of uncertainty. She knows that life rarely hands out full instructions and that answers often arrive after patience and observation. For her, these unclear spaces are not traps, but opportunities. They are where real insight is found and where people show their true selves while others try to escape ambiguity. She learns to master it. That mastery makes her nearly impossible to manipulate because the usual tools of pressure and panic do not work on her. She has already trained herself to think clearly in the fog. Number 3, she turns observation into a shield and a weapon, collecting silent data before she makes her move. Some people talk so much, they reveal their every thought before they even know where they are going. The Sigma female is the opposite. She can sit quietly in a room, watching, listening, and letting others expose themselves without them even realizing it. She knows that people reveal more in what they try to hide than in what they say out loud. Every pause, every glance, every change in tone becomes a piece of information she stores away. Imagine a meeting where tempers are flaring and everyone is fighting to be heard. Most people will speak just to prove they have a voice in the matter. The Sigma female will stay still, watching each person's choice of words, their body language, and the way they react to challenges. She is not just collecting gossip or surface-level details. She is mapping who actually has influence, who is bluffing, and who is afraid. By the time she chooses to speak, she already knows where her words will land with the most effect. In friendships or relationships, she applies the same approach. If someone's actions do not match their promises, she notices immediately. She does not confront out of impulse. Instead, she waits, gathering enough proof in her own mind before she decides whether to address the issue or quietly distance herself. This patience makes it nearly impossible for others to play games with her because she spots patterns before they become traps. Observation is her shield because it protects her from being blindsided. She rarely makes emotional decisions in the heat of the moment. It is also her weapon because when she finally acts, her choices are precise and intentional. She has already studied the battlefield before taking a single step. People often underestimate how much power comes from silence. For the Sigma female, silence is never empty. It is a calculated space where information flows in, giving her the advantage every time. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, say hello, and consider subscribing to our channel. And if you'd like to support our channel further, you can find that in the description. Number 4. She is both transparent and unreadable, revealing enough to be seen, but never enough to be fully known. Some people overshare without even realizing it, putting every detail of their life on display. Others hide so much that they seem like a locked door no one can open. The Sigma female sits somewhere in between, but not by accident. She has mastered the art of showing just enough for people to think they know her while keeping the most important parts of herself out of reach. This balance is why she is both relatable and mysterious at the same time. Picture meeting someone who feels open and approachable. You can have deep conversations, share laughs, and even talk about personal matters. Yet, when you walk away, you realize you still cannot clearly define who they truly are. That is how the Sigma female operates. She might share a story from her past or give her honest opinion on something, but the details she leaves out are just as intentional as the ones she reveals. In the workplace, this can be powerful. She might engage with colleagues and contribute ideas, but her long-term goals, her deepest thoughts, and her next moves remain hers alone. This prevents others from using her plans against her or trying to manipulate her direction. In relationships, it works the same way. She can be affectionate and emotionally present, yet still keep a core part of her inner world private. This is not about being distant. It is about knowing that once you give everything away, you give away control over your own narrative. Her transparency draws people in, but her unreadable side keeps them intrigued. They cannot figure out if they know her completely or if there is a whole other side they have yet to see. That tension keeps others curious, sometimes even obsessed, because mystery has a way of holding attention longer than complete exposure ever could. For the Sigma female, this is not a game. It is self-preservation and self-mastery. She understands that being known is not the same as being understood, and she chooses to control that difference with precision. Number 5, she refuses to give predictable reactions, forcing people to second-guess themselves around her. Most people respond in ways you can predict if you know them well enough. If you insult them, they get angry. If you flatter them, they soften. If you pressure them, they either give in or push back immediately. The Sigma female does not give people that kind of certainty. Her reactions are not random, but they are never so obvious that anyone can play her like a script. Imagine someone trying to provoke her in a meeting by questioning her competence. Most people would snap back defensively or rush to prove themselves. She might simply smile, take a slow pause, and then respond with a calm, fact-filled answer that makes the accuser look foolish without raising her voice. Other times, she might not respond at all, letting the silence expose the other person's pettiness. This unpredictability keeps people from knowing which button to press because the same tactic will not work twice. In personal relationships, it can be even more disarming. If someone tries to manipulate her with guilt, expecting her to fold, she might respond with kindness, but still hold her ground. If someone expects her to fight, she might instead step back completely, refusing to give the drama oxygen. This forces people to think twice about how they approach her because they cannot control the outcome. Her unpredictability is not about being inconsistent. It is about being deliberate. She does not let emotions or external pressure decide her reaction. She chooses it based on what will serve her best in that moment. This makes people second-guess their assumptions about her and even their own behavior. When someone cannot predict you, they cannot control you. That is the Sigma female's quiet advantage. She understands that control often begins with predictability, so she removes that power from anyone who might try to use it against her. Number 6, she has no appetite for dominance games, which makes her immune to the hooks those games rely on. Some people live for power struggles. They measure their worth by how many people they can control, how often they can win an argument, or how loudly they can make others submit. These are the games that drain energy, poison relationships, and keep people locked in constant competition. The Sigma female has no taste for any of it. She's not interested in proving she is above someone, and she is not tempted to drag herself into petty battles just to show strength. This is why those who thrive on dominance find her so frustrating. Their strategies depend on pulling people into a tug of war for control. They expect reactions, pushback, or submission. But she does not take the rope. If someone tries to bait her into a fight for the upper hand, she will often sidestep entirely. She would rather protect her time and energy than feed someone else's need to feel powerful. Imagine a workplace where a colleague constantly tries to undermine others just to stay on top. Most people either fight back or crumble. The Sigma female does neither. She quietly keeps her focus on her own path, refuses to play the undermining game, and lets her results speak for her. Over time, this robs the manipulator of their fuel because there is no emotional reaction to feed on. In personal relationships, it is the same. If someone tries to control her through jealousy, guilt, or intimidation, she simply disengages. She will not stay in an environment where every interaction is about winning or losing. Her refusal to participate in dominance games is not weakness. It is strategy. The moment you stop playing, the hooks those games rely on lose their grip. The Sigma female wins not by overpowering others, but by making the game itself irrelevant. That is why she stays free. Number 7, she reads contradictions in people like an open book and adjusts her boundaries accordingly. Most people hear someone's words and take them at face value. The Sigma female listens too, but she also notices the space between the words. She pays attention to how someone's actions line up with what they claim to believe, and when those two do not match, she does not ignore it. Contradictions are like flashing warning signs to her, and she treats them seriously. Think about a friend who always says they value honesty, but changes the subject every time you ask a direct question, or a co-worker who insists they are a team player, but takes credit for work they did not do. Many people brush these moments off, hoping they are just one-time slips. The Sigma female does not. She sees them for what they are, patterns waiting to repeat. Once she spots a contradiction, she adjusts her boundaries without needing to announce it. If she notices someone who talks loyalty but acts selfishly, she will stop sharing personal plans with them. If she sees someone claim they respect her but keeps pushing past her limits, she will pull back and create more distance. She does not need a dramatic confrontation to protect herself. The boundary is set quietly, and it is firm. This ability makes it difficult for people to get close unless they are genuine. Pretenders, manipulators, and charmers often get caught without realizing it because she is watching more than just the performance they put on. Her awareness is not about paranoia. It is about respecting her own peace. She knows that ignoring contradictions is how people end up in toxic situations, so she refuses to let them slide. For her, every mixed signal is a clue, and every clue helps her decide who earns a place in her inner circle and who stays outside the gates. Number 8, she creates leverage by knowing the exact moment to be present and the exact moment to disappear. Most people think power comes from constant presence, from always being involved and always being seen. The Sigma female understands a different truth. Sometimes your influence grows not by being everywhere, but by knowing exactly when to step forward and when to step back. She treats her presence like a currency, spending it where it matters most, and withdrawing it when it serves her better. Picture a workplace where everyone scrambles to be in every meeting, to speak on every topic, and to claim every spotlight. She doesn't compete in that noise. If the discussion is going nowhere, she stays silent. If the timing is wrong, she observes instead of pushing her agenda. But when the moment comes where her words can tip the balance, she steps in with precision, often shifting the direction entirely. People remember her contributions because they are rare and well-timed, not drowned out in a flood of constant commentary. In personal life, this plays out in relationships too. She might give her full attention when someone truly needs her, but she will not linger in situations where her presence is taken for granted or her energy is being drained. Her absence in those moments speaks louder than anything she could say. This timing gives her leverage because people notice when she is there, and they notice when she is not. They start to value her input, her company, and her attention, knowing it is never just handed out by default. By controlling her presence, she controls her impact, and by controlling her impact, she keeps her freedom. The Sigma female knows that sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to vanish just long enough for people to realize what you bring when you are around. Number 9, she resists labels, knowing once you name her, you try to define her limits. People love putting others into neat little boxes. It makes them feel like they understand you, like they can predict what you will do next. A label becomes a shortcut for assumptions, a quick way to draw borders around who you are and what you are capable of. The Sigma female sees the trap in that. She knows that once you let someone define you with a label, they will also try to define your limits, in school or work. This shows up quickly. Someone might call you the quiet one, and suddenly you are expected to stay in the background. Or they might call you the problem solver, and then they dump every crisis in your lap without asking if you even want to handle it. The Sigma female refuses to be boxed in like that. She can be quiet one day and outspoken the next, analytical in one situation and spontaneous in another. The moment you think you have her figured out, she shifts. In relationships, it works the same way. Labels like the supportive one or the strong one can sound flattering, but they also create unspoken rules. People start expecting her to always fit that role, even when it drains her. She breaks that pattern by showing different sides of herself on her own terms, reminding others that she is not a fixed character in their story. Her refusal to accept labels is not about rebellion for its own sake. It is about protecting her freedom to grow, change, and adapt without being measured against someone else's definition of her. By staying outside the boxes, people try to put her in. She keeps control over her own identity. She understands that the moment you let someone name you, they will try to own the meaning of that name, and she will never hand them that kind of power. Number 10, she accepts change as her natural state. making it impossible to corner her in a fixed identity. Most people cling to stability like it is the only safe place to stand. They build a fixed identity, repeat the same routines, and hold on to familiar roles because it gives them a sense of control. The problem is when life shifts, and it always does, that fixed identity becomes a cage. The Sigma female avoids this trap by treating change as a natural part of her life. She does not just tolerate it, she moves with it. Think of someone who has worked the same job for years and suddenly the company restructures. Panic sets in because their sense of self is tied entirely to that role. The Sigma female handles it differently. She might feel the uncertainty like anyone else, but she adjusts quickly. She updates her skills, explores new paths, and reshapes her goals without clinging to what no longer fits. In personal relationships, this adaptability is just as strong. If the dynamics shift, whether through growth, distance, or even endings, she allows herself to evolve with it instead of holding on to what it used to be. She understands that change does not erase her. It reshapes her, and each version of herself is as valid as the last. This mindset makes her hard to pin down. You cannot trap someone in a fixed identity if they see themselves as a work in progress. When people expect her to behave a certain way forever, she will quietly surprise them by moving in a new direction without apology. Her acceptance of change keeps her ahead of those who try to use predictability to control her, while others are busy resisting what is different. She is already adapting, already turning the new landscape into her advantage. That is why she stays free, because she refuses to be the same person forever just to make others comfortable. Number 11, she understands that true control starts with the self, and she guards her inner world as if it were a fortress. Most people try to control the world around them, situations, outcomes, even other people, without realizing that the real battle is inside. The Sigma female knows that if you cannot master your own thoughts, emotions, and reactions, then anything outside of you can throw you off balance. This is why she starts with herself. Her inner world is her foundation, and she guards it with the kind of care most people only give to their most valuable possessions. She treats her mind like a space that must remain clear and uncluttered. If someone tries to pull her into pointless drama, she chooses not to engage. If a conversation is designed to provoke her, she refuses to hand over her peace. It is not that she does not feel anger, sadness, or frustration. She just refuses to let those emotions drive the wheel. Picture someone trying to insult her in public to get a reaction. Many would respond instantly, letting their pride lead them into a fight. She, on the other hand, sees the trap. She knows that reacting without thinking gives away control, so she decides if the moment even deserves her energy. More often than not, it does not. In relationships, this guarded inner space means she does not give her trust, time, or vulnerability to anyone who has not earned it. She is open when it feels safe, but she never hands over the keys to her mind or heart just because someone asks nicely. Her self-control is not coldness, it is discipline. By mastering her inner world, she makes it almost impossible for others to shake her or push her into decisions that are not her own. The world may shift, people may change, but her fortress stands because she knows that the truest form of control begins and ends with the self. Number 12. She does not measure her worth by anyone's approval, cutting off another common chain of control. Many people live in a constant loop of trying to please others. They measure their value by how much praise they receive, how many people like them, or how often they are told they are doing well. This creates an invisible chain. If approval is given, they feel good, and if it is withheld, they feel small. The Sigma female has broken that chain. She knows her worth without needing someone else to stamp it with validation. This does not mean she ignores feedback or refuses to listen to others. She simply refuses to let external opinions be the deciding factor in how she sees herself. If she completes a project and it is well received, she appreciates it. If it is met with criticism, she listens to what is useful, discards what is not, and moves forward without, letting it crush her sense of self. Imagine a workplace where promotions are given not just for skill, but for who can flatter the right people. Many will change their behavior, opinions, and even values to get noticed. The Sigma female will not play that game. She knows bending herself just to gain approval often means losing the very qualities that make her valuable in the first place. In personal life, this shows up when people try to guilt her into doing something by hinting she will disappoint them if she refuses. She does not fold. Her decisions are made based on her principles, not on a fear of being disliked. By refusing to measure her worth by approval, she closes off one of the most common ways people are controlled. No praise can inflate her into arrogance, and no criticism can shrink her into submission. Her value is self-defined, and that makes it untouchable. Number 13, she anticipates power plays and sidesteps them before they fully form. Some people only recognize manipulation once it has already trapped them. By the time they see the strings, they are already tangled. The Sigma female rarely finds herself in that position because she notices the setup before the game even starts. She understands the small signs that reveal when someone is trying to position themselves for control, and she adjusts her steps before they can pull her in. It can be as simple as spotting a colleague who suddenly becomes overly friendly right before asking for a big favor, or noticing when a friend starts dropping hints meant to make her feel guilty. So, she will agree to something she does not want to do. While others might get caught off guard, she sees the patterns as they begin to take shape. In the workplace, she might sense when a manager is about to shift blame for a failure onto her. Instead of waiting for the accusation, she prepares her evidence and brings it up in the right setting, making it impossible for the move to succeed. In personal relationships, if she feels someone is trying to box her into an obligation, she will subtly adjust her availability, her words, or her commitments so that she never steps into the trap in the first place. Her approach is not confrontational unless it needs to be. Most of the time, she simply sidesteps the situation entirely, leaving the other person holding an empty plan. It is like pulling the rug out from under a scheme without anyone realizing she touched it. This ability keeps her in control without constant battles. By anticipating the play before it forms, she stays 3 steps ahead. And for those who live on manipulation and hidden agendas, there is nothing more frustrating than a target who is never where you expect her to be. In final words, what do you become when you refuse to be shaped by the limits others place on you? The Sigma female is living proof that freedom is not given. It is built. She moves through life on her own terms, not because she fights every battle, but because she chooses which ones are worth her energy. She cannot be boxed in, manipulated, or steered like a piece on someone else's board, and that is what makes her rare. Her strength is not about being louder, harder, or more forceful. It is about clarity. She knows what matters to her. She protects it, and she lets go of what does not, while others get trapped by approval, fear, or the need to belong. She stays rooted in a deeper truth. That self-control is the ultimate form of power. If you are a Sigma female, understand that your path will not always be understood. People will question it, challenge it, and even try to change it. But your ability to remain unshaken in the face of all that is what sets you apart. You are not here to live by someone else's script. You are here to write your own. Do not waste time proving your worth to those who cannot see it. Do not dilute your instincts to make others comfortable, and never forget that your strength is not just in how you stand, but in knowing when to move. You are the black swan, rare, unpredictable, and impossible to control. Stay that way. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'm your host, Alfred, and I read every comment.